tweeted. My beer's already almost gone.
Oh no.
He's doing it.
Yeah, I was gonna pull it up.
Oh. Yeah. Wait, what are you talking about? I'm so confused.
Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Today's episode of Thunderheads is brought to you by Wellness Perspective. Wellness Perspective makes it easier for you to live healthfully. They're also making it easier for us to do this podcast. Check them out at mywellnessperspective.com to learn more.
You're listening to Thunderheads, a podcast for Thunder fans by Thunder fans.
Welcome to Thunderheads. Thanks for joining us to wrap up the week. If you're tuning in on YouTube Live, we're psyched to have you. I'm Brandon Stoll, joined as always by the Thunder Tie himself. It is Mr. Justin Wright.
The ball is tipped, and there you are. You're running for your life. You're a shooting star.
That's a thing.
What? It sounds so familiar.
It's a
But
song of some sort.
But I feel like now I'm
The
just
ball
thinking.
is tipped. It's one shining moment.
Oh,
Ah.
because.
NCAA tournament.
Ah.
Yeah.
Natty champ.
All right.
How'd you not get that, Rob?
Who you got tonight? Let's start. Who you got?
Michigan.
Yeah. They haven't even won a game by less than double digits, right?
No, the last team to do that lost. It was North Carolina 2 years ago that lost to Villanova after Villanova put the hurt on OU.
Very
which
interesting.
sucked.
And the man that will win the Thunderheads bracket challenge if Michigan wins,
Come on,
if they
Michigan.
prevail, it is the Dr. Rob Larson.
I'm such a Michigan fan right now.
So you feel good about the pick right now?
Oh, yeah.
With no reason at all, though.
No idea what's going to happen.
Love them.
Couldn't tell you one player, but we're going to win.
If they can consistently go inside to
And
Wagner
score.
and Wagner
Who?
can have a big. He's the big guy, the big goofy white guy, 6'11" from Michigan. If he can, have
They
a big
always
game-
have one of those.
Oh yeah, it's Michigan.
It's Michigan.
It's college basketball.
Love them.
That's more accurate.
Love them Reigns, though, you know?
This man's the dark and stormy Jason Lewis.
Yes, sir.
Today we're going to ask who the Thunder should want to face in the first round. We are getting down to the nitty-gritty, guys. 4 games left? Is that right?
For
I think so.
We'll discuss Melo benching himself and if that's a good thing or not. And then we'll talk about Billy Donovan beginning to stagger PG and Russ, and we also have so much more for you. No disaster of the week this week. Couldn't find a good enough one.
Well, that's the disaster of the week right there.
That is the disaster of the week. You guys are the disaster of the week for not sending us a disaster of the week.
How could you?
But there was nothing. You know, the world was in good shape this
Yeah,
week, I think.
that's good.
I think
can it just be the Thunder's free throw shooting and the clutch?
Oh, that's actually
That's a
something.
disaster.
That
and
is-
it's been weekly, so that's the disaster of the
year.
week.
It wouldn't surprise
God.
me if Rob has something to say about that in our weekly edition of Rob's Rundown.
All right. Will you turn me up a little bit?
Oh,
You need
yeah.
to be turned
Crank
up.
it.
Just-
You want to crank you?
You turn me up a little bit. The first game
Want to
was
turn up your headphones?
turn up my mic a little bit. Do I sound low? I feel
You
like
sound
I
good to
low.
me.
All right, the first game was at San
There
Antonio.
it is.
There it is.
There you go.
Not a good game for the bench. A decent first quarter for the Thunder. It's kind of going to be a little bit of a theme here. But they gave it all back and some in the second. The Thunder really lost this game in the fourth. For the first 9.5 minutes of that fourth quarter, which I didn't realize this till I looked back, the Thunder were 4 for 16 and a -8. So the first 9.5 minutes of that critical fourth quarter, not good. They made it competitive from that point on, but the damage was already done. The Thunder fall 103 to 99. First game of a back-to-back.
That's the one you want to lose usually, though.
Well,
that's not true.
this week.
Does it matter?
It was on the road, which San Antonio was really good on the road. I mean, really good at home. And so
Right.
I thought of these games, like if the Thunder were going to lose one of these games, that would be the game. And that's
the
kind of
acceptable one.
Yeah, that's kind of one that you could see them losing.
It was the way they lost it. Again,
It's
though.
always
It's always the
been-
way they
every
lose it.
losses.
You know, like, if I went around the table right now and asked you guys, who's the better team, the Thunder or the Spurs? What's your answer?
Thunder.
I feel good that it's the Thunder.
Yeah.
Now, you're 2-2 versus Spurs this year, and one of those wins against the Spurs is against a Spurs team that has no one
On it.
Yeah, no one that can really help you win. And it was a close game that went down the wire. But the bench, man, really bad game for the bench. Maybe the worst of the year. Plus minus department, -17 from Patterson, -13 from Grant, -16 from Felton, -9 from Abrinas, -5 from Ferguson. There's the story of the game right there. The Spurs bench just dominated.
Hey, is 6 of 22 from the field really bad?
It's not.
It's
Because that's what the Thunder shot in the fourth quarter.
It's on the old lower end, is what you'd call that.
18 points in that fourth quarter, not going to get it done. But you know what? You got to give the Spurs some credit too, because they played some really good defense against the Thunder. They were Adams really struggled. What was he like? 5 for 11 that game, and a lot of them were like just right by the basket. And Russ driving to the basket, they were doing a good job just sealing off and making it hard on him to make any plays. But the Thunder were just struggling to adjust, and that's kind of been the story this year.
So one thing that really scares me about the Spurs right now is that, and you know, I kind of heard this on the Animal, and I totally agree because Barry was the one that brought this up. But so DeJounte Murray. The Spurs have never had a point guard that could really contain Russell Westbrook, and Murray can't. To a degree. I mean, no one can truly contain him, but Murray's he did a good enough job the other night, and so that makes me a little bit worried. Like, if he can have the confidence to go up against Russell Westbrook and do that defensively, that's a scary thing.
Yeah, you're right. He's got the right body to defend Russell Westbrook.
Quick and long.
And the right mindset of not backing down. Mm-hmm. And that's what gets in Russ's head a little bit. Mm-hmm. You know, these young guys that don't back down from him, and Russ is like, oh, I got you from the get-go, and he actually doesn't have him from the get-go. And then it starts getting in Russ's head, and he starts going one-on-one a little bit, and he kind of messes with himself. But over the course of a series, like if we're looking ahead to the playoffs, can the Spurs trust DeJounte Murray to really limit Russ over a 7-game series? I don't know. I don't know that they can. He's a rookie. No, his second year, right? Second year.
Yeah.
You can in San Antonio. I think you can expect all you want to when you're playing in San Antonio, but once you get north of the Red River, no, I don't trust him.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's fair. But in that first half, Aldridge, he was the story.
Yeah.
Just on fire.
He was so good, yeah.
It was weird because
Aldridge has a thing against us in first halves.
You're right. He does. And I didn't believe that he was going to have another good game. You know, it felt like it'd been a while since he had a good game against the Thunder, and I didn't believe that he was good anymore. He was really good in that first half. But he wasn't good in the second half, and Adams started to get a little bit better in that second half. Defensively, Adams was great. He just couldn't get anything going offensively. And when Adams can't get anything going offensively from the jump, it makes it really hard for the Thunder offense to gain any rhythm.
Yeah, he was good defensively except for that one last play where they just watched Aldridge go to the bucket. I was like, well, there he goes.
He started doing a thing where he kind of was just throwing a shoulder into him instead of moving his feet.
Yeah, it was weird.
And honestly, I don't know if we'll have another time to bring that up, but as the week progressed, he kept doing it. He was no longer moving his feet, and he was just kind of bumping guys. I don't know if that's be interesting. We can talk about it later if he is wearing down a little bit.
We should talk about that later.
Yeah, we should.
Let's do that.
Somebody make a note.
I wrote it down here on the table.
Maybe around
Adams.
8:02. 8:05.
All right, so our next game here was at home against the Nuggets. The Thunder on a back-to-back, which you already said. The Nuggets were finishing a road trip. Did not realize this either. That started on March 15th. They hadn't played a home game since March 15th.
Wow.
It's crazy. Another good start for the Thunder, but that did not last. In the middle quarters, the Thunder were outscored 65-51. Terrible. At home. 65-51 at home. A huge fourth brought the Thunder back in the game. This went to OT. The Thunder just could not seem to score in overtime. They had the quick.
So strange.
They had the quick Brewer 3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then it was like
nothing.
A free throw or two maybe, and then there was like a gap, like a 2.5 minute gap or more, where they just couldn't get anything. The Thunder lose another close one, 126-125.
And there was a point in that fourth quarter where the Thunder had every ounce of momentum.
Yep.
You know, just running up and down the court on the Nuggets. And for whatever reason, this Nuggets team gives the Thunder fits. I don't know if the Thunder it's one of those things that they just limp into a game saying, we're better than this team. It feels like that sometimes with this team, right? There's like a sense of entitlement with this team sometimes. And
almost all the time.
Yeah. And they get shown up. They get shown up because of it. And this is one of those ugly box scores. Paul Millsap, 13 for 18 from the field for 36 points. Man.
Couldn't stop him at all.
No.
Melo made it tough for him at the beginning in that first quarter. He was still making shots in that first quarter. At least they made it kind of tough on him, but from that point on, it just seemed like it was so easy for him.
Right. Jokic, dominant, 23 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists. And then you flip over to the Thunder, and Russ, had 33 points, 13 assists, 9 rebounds. But the dude was 12 for 32 with some terrible shots. Really bad shot selection. Just managed the game horrible down the stretch. That's the give and take with Russ, right? That's what we've talked about for years. I mean, sometimes he's gonna break your heart, but other times he's gonna make you love him to death.
Yeah. Well, that's because he brings you back like in this game in the fourth quarter, 5 for 11 from the field, 11 points. I mean, like he puts you in that position, but then he brings you back.
Yeah. He giveth, so he taketh.
away.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the discrepancy there? Russ, 32 shots from the field. Paul George, 12 shots in an overtime game.
I don't like it.
Where does this go? Where does any blame go here? Is that on Russ? Is that on Billy? Is that on Paul George for not being aggressive enough?
I think Paul George only had 2 shots in the second half.
Well, that sounds about right.
Which was
He
crazy.
does that from time to time. You know?
I think he had 1 each quarter. Didn't look it up, but I think I remember that. And so that's got to be a little bit on everybody. Like he has to take it upon himself to say, like, I need the ball. Give me the ball. And especially just, if nothing else, like, take a little bit of pressure off of Russ, who shot, like you said, what was it, 32 times?
32 times.
That's
Looking
too
like
many-
last year.
That's too many times.
How many times has
Crazy.
he exceeded 30 field goal attempts this season? Probably, I mean, probably you can count on one hand, I'm sure. Where last season, you probably need a couple hands.
Every game.
You need 3 hands to count it, I think. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to... There's no reason Melo should have 21 shots and George 12 shots. That is not a good recipe for this team. And this was a pretty good Melo game. I mean, 23 points on 21 shots is a good Melo game at this point. But he hit 5 threes, and they were big threes at times. But
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to finally see his shot fall.
yeah, he's had his moments here in the past couple of weeks. Abrinas a plus 21 in that game, by far the highest. He played 15 minutes, all fourth quarter minutes mostly.
Fourth quarter master.
And also, this is the game where Melo benched himself, and we're going to get to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to get into that too much here because I know that we will. But it's just weird. That fourth quarter where the Thunder had so much success, the only starter besides Russ that took a shot was one Paul George attempt. And obviously Melo didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. But that fourth quarter, like, that was as bad as the bench was against the Spurs. Like, they were the reason the Thunder got back into that game. Raymond Felton was really key. And then you had Jeremy Grant played really well.
16 points. I mean, he's done that a few times this year. Another thing that sticks out that I hadn't noticed on the box score until just now, the Nuggets had 68 points in the paint compared to the Thunder's 40.
God.
The Thunder have this habit of just, man, sometimes they just open the floodgates. And you're just like, there you go.
Yeah.
Have fun. There's the rim for you.
We talked a little bit about Adams, but that's a really, like, you look at what he had to do whenever you have, like, Gasol and Aldridge, and then you have Jokic. He wasn't on Millsap hardly at all, but that's just so tough. Like, I know we said we would talk about that a little bit, but just, like, that little bit of stretch for him is so hard because those guys are so talented.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, it seems like when you're looking at Adams, and maybe the defense is leaking over to the offense for him, but it seems like the confidence hasn't been quite there for him these past couple games. He's had a couple moments where him and Russ are running their standard pick and rolls. Russ will fire a pass, as he tends to do, that's hard to catch, and Adams kind of isn't catching them clean lately. He's bringing the ball down when he shouldn't. He's putting the ball on the floor maybe when he shouldn't. He's not being as strong.
He was getting surrounded a lot, too. Like, it would just instantly pounce on him as soon as he caught the ball.
And
I noticed.
if he's not aggressive, if he's not like, oh, you know, like,
Yeah.
no, you're not doing, like, it's hard for him to do what he's so good at doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it just feels like he kind of lost that a little bit, and the Thunder need Adams to be, yeah.
So good. So the last game was at New Orleans. We talked a lot about must-wins. This was the
must-win.
Must-win of all of the must-wins. In the
Turns out they
previous,
lose a lot of those must-wins. It's a bummer.
in the previous 2 games, they started out well and then kind of tapered off. In this one, they started a little slow. They picked it up in the middle quarters. The fourth quarter, once again, got a little bit dicey. I know through our little chat, we were all kind of worried. Like, holy cow, we've seen this
Our little
a
chat.
lot.
I've watched this movie.
Yeah, I think that's what you
Every
said.
game of the
And
season.
it felt so familiar, but the Thunder come out on top, 109-104, and such a big win for this team. Like,
And-
you could not let that one get away.
And a polar opposite game from Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
9 for 17 from the field. You know, two nights
good.
later, 9 for 17 from the field, 26 points, 15 boards, 13 assists. Totally ran the show. Had some bad turnovers, but it was an overall plus 15 in the game. By far and away the Thunder's best. Huge game for him. Paul George gets going in that first half, which was so important. He looked like Paul in that first half. He looked like Paul George prior to the All-Star break. He's playing with energy, confidence, with determination when he's going to the hole.
He didn't look like he was trying to figure out what he was doing the whole time.
And then, I will say, you're right. And then he was terrible in the second half because he couldn't get a shot to fall. The Thunder couldn't get a shot to fall much of that second half. But I liked that he was still getting the shots consistently, at least, because there have been times where, his shot's not falling, but he's not getting it consistently.
Well, that kind of turned around the shot selection situation that you were just talking about. Like, I don't have stats pulled up, but I know he got a lot more in that game.
Yeah, he had 24 shots.
Led the team by 7. Took 7 more than Westbrook. And I truly believe from watching this season, there's been games where Paul George has shot 10 times, and Russ has shot 24 times. And we get on to Russ a little bit, and you're like, dude, you got to get him going. Regardless of how much of it is Paul George's fault, because I'm sure it's fair to put some of it. Russ is the leader of this team. He's the best player on this team. You got to get him going. You got to figure out a way to get him going. And he's always responded this way. He's always been like, okay, I'm going to get him going the next night. It's almost like, he's looking at the stat sheet too and realizes it. One thing I wanted to bring up in the Denver game, and it's kind of been going back a while, but you remember earlier in the season when we saw this chemistry developing between Paul George and Steven Adams? That's it's not there right now, is it?
Yeah, because they played a little bit together, and they didn't really do much.
Yeah,
they haven't
without
been doing
Russ.
much. Yeah,
it seems
kind of
really
weird,
forced when they do it.
You're right.
It's like Paul George has this idea like Steven Adams is huge. He's a great target to have in the paint. He's going to make that shot, but it seems like he tries to force the pass or can't really figure out like, when do I use this screen? Where do I find him on the roll? It feels it's herky jerky.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they have a tough time. I'm sure it's got to be hard for Adams trying to get off Russ's page for a second and get on to some other completely different player's
very
page.
different pace.
Right. It's got to be difficult.
Yeah, and they were a -10 that on the court together. Paul George and Steven Adams.
Well, if Russ isn't on the court with Paul George, it's usually not.
It's not going to work out well. Yeah, but like whenever you look at just that box score, you look at the plus minus. Like you look at the 2, or I think there were 2 or 3 minuses there. But Paul George, what, -11?
-11.
Like, and that's going to happen whenever you play him with a bench.
Yes.
Like you can kind of just expect that his numbers are going to dip more than mostly everybody else's typically on most nights because he is playing with the bench and they haven't been able to hold their own as much. But it still is a little worrisome that you see, I don't know, Paul George gets 24 shots. Like you said, he looks so good. Mm-hmm. That was kind of what helped the Pelicans get back in it. Like you have Paul George going 9 for 24, and that's what the Pelicans kind of used a little bit, especially in that second half.
The good thing is he did get to the line 6 times, made all 6 of them. Not bad. You can take 6 free throws from him.
Finally, someone on our team.
But yeah, you're right. And Paul George, to his credit, he did hit a huge 3 down the stretch. Maybe the biggest shot of the game.
Yeah. I was really nice that Russ found him too on that.
It was.
Yeah.
Man, Russ was so good. Like thinking back in that game, Russ was really good at finding guys. Back to your comment, Rob, on Paul George and the bench, because of course we have to talk about this, and I have a good set right here. So the Thunder's 3 worst lineups are some form of Paul George with the bench. This is on the entire season.
That's why we gotta keep using it
till it gets better.
Eventually, it'll figure itself out, right?
Yeah.
They just gotta build the chemistry.
It's the way. It's just like there's like a theory out there, right? There's some scientists came up with it.
10,000 hours.
Yeah, that's it.
He just got to get his 10,000 hours in with the bench.
So the worst.
3 years from now, we're good.
So the worst lineup all season long for the Thunder: Raymond Felton, Alex Abrinas, Paul George, Jeremy Grant, and Patrick Patterson is a -26.6 per 100 possessions. They played 105 minutes together.
Is that bad?
Very bad. Next worst, same lineup, but instead of Abrinas, it's Husis. They're a -17.8 per 100 in 67 minutes together. And then the next worst is that same lineup, but instead of Abrinas or Husis, it's Ferguson. And that's a -15.6 in 87 minutes played. Now, my question to you, why is this keep happening? Why? I hate it. What? Obviously, it's not changing. Billy Donovan.
No way.
I mean, if it did, you could almost criticize Billy for changing it at this point.
Well, it was just like 3 weeks ago, I can't remember what game it was. The Thunder were blowing out somebody, and Billy brought Paul George back in the fourth quarter to play with the bench because he specifically said he wanted to get them some more minutes together. Like, there's no way it's changing. Billy is absolutely telling us what he is going to go with, and there's no way that's going to change at this point.
So what's the thought here?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. If you use,
It's not funny to me.
if you use the Pelicans game as any like indication of what the playoff rotations will be, Houston will not play. Obviously, we already knew
He hasn't
Collison.
played in quite a while.
It's been a while.
We already knew Collison and
Been a
Singler
while.
weren't part of that,
Right.
and also Ferguson doesn't play.
Mm-hmm.
So if you use that as any indication, all you've done is eliminate the second and third worst lineups. You still have the very worst lineup very much in play for the playoffs.
Although, I guess to Billy's credit, he really changed things up in that Pelicans game. He takes,
He finally did.
how did it work? I have to like recount it in my head. He staggered Russ and Paul George
It's
first
like
off.
Paul George came out early in the first
Yep.
and then rejoined like
When Russ came off the court. Yeah, you're exactly right. So I think it gave Paul George less time with that bench unit. And when he was with that bench, Adams was out there with him, or Melo was out there with him at times.
It was like he wasn't with the full bench as much.
And I think what you're starting to see with Abrinas, because, you know, the past couple of pods I've been bringing up these numbers, I've been tweeting them out too about how good he's been overall to lineups. And I think one thing you're seeing is Abrinas is good with the starters, right?
He finally got some non-fourth quarter minutes.
Abrinas needs to play with the starters.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Totally agreed. But why is that?
Well, because they can't get him the ball otherwise. Like, he needs,
Yeah.
even more than just the starters, like, he needs to play with Russ.
Yeah,
Definitely.
That's what needs to happen.
And he needs guys that can defend around him.
that'd be helpful.
Well, let's go back to let's use Corey Brewer as kind of an analog for this situation. So when Corey Brewer was playing mostly with the bench, Corey Brewer wasn't really getting good shots. Like it was bad.
Mm-hmm.
Corey Brewer gets with the starters. He's getting those corner threes. He starts hitting them a bunch. It's kind of the same thing with Abrinas. Like the bench, like you don't really have great facilitators on the bench. Raymond Felton is a good point guard, but he's a good slashing point guard. He's a good shooting point guard. He's not a good passing point guard.
No.
Yeah, he
So
set
what you're
himself
saying
up.
is everyone needs to play with the starters.
But yeah, exactly.
Sounds like with Russ. Everybody
The
plays
thing
with
is,
Russ.
you've got two, maybe 2.5 guys if you count Adams as a half because you see
He's
he
a
can
very
pass.
large half.
He can pass, but like sometimes you're like whatever. But Russ can pass, Paul George can pass, Steven Adams
Sometimes.
kind of half.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got all those facilitators that are all starters. You don't really have a whole bunch of guys that can actually pass the ball very well on the bench. So guys that are catch and shoot threats like Alex Abrinas is, he's just going to
Doesn't
wither
work well,
away if
right.
he doesn't have a guy that can get him the ball in the right spot.
I guess the weird thing is, though, is that I think all very valid points. And when we're talking about he needs to play with the starters, I think that's definitely true. But he's not necessarily getting a lot of looks with the starters
No.
either.
No, and whenever we're seeing like what we're calling fourth quarter Abrinas, it's with the bench.
That's
and,
the only arenas, though, like
and
here
it's-
lately.
It's
Now-
with the bench and it's with Russ. Like that's the point,
Mhm.
and that's where he's finding success.
It's almost when he comes in that fourth quarter, the first play they go to every single time is that high screen and pop for Abrinas, where he sets a screen for Russ. Russ takes the screen and then he kicks it back out. The old KD.
It's a good play.
It is a good play.
Hey, it's like Paul George, except I have confidence that he's actually going to hit this three right now.
Ooh, ouch.
Shots fired. Hey, it's a
I-
little late to
I
fire
am-
these shots.
All I'm doing is challenging Paul George to be better.
Hey,
That's all I'm
I
doing.
like it.
What do you think that I asked you, what's the thought behind just the continual playing him with the bench? Is it to, this is a fantasy, but is it just saying, oh, this is what it's gonna be like if you go to LA, bud? Obviously, I think their talents better than what the Thunder have on the bench, but I just hope that's what it is.
Hey, you know that point guard y'all got out in L.A.? He's just a shitty Raymond Felton.
Yeah, that's fact. Can't shoot as good.
Raymond Felton's a badass compared to Lonzo Ball.
While
Just saying.
we are talking about Alex Abrinas, might as well throw these stats out there. He once again, for like the third consecutive week, I'm gonna say, he led the team in net rating this week by far, plus 20.3 per 100 possessions. Played 16 minutes a game, so you did see, to Billy's credit, you did see him bump up his minutes a little bit. The next closest was Russ at plus 7.5 per 100. So among rotation players, he leads the team in net rating by far in the last 11 games, plus 18.1. This is how far he leads. Russ is next at 6.8.
What an extreme turnaround since earlier this season.
But do these stats lie?
No,
or is there something
no,
here?
no. I think that they don't, but I think it's like how Billy is using him, which we criticized. Like, why are you just throwing him in the fourth quarter? Like, Abrinas was actually excelling, even though it seemed like that was a terrible position to put him in. And then now you are seeing like those minutes like uptick a little bit, and that's exactly what you want. Like, if he's going to shoot the ball well, then Billy's hand is kind of forced at that point. Like, you have to use him more.
It just feels like his hand should have been forced so long ago. But I mean, I guess hindsight's always 20/20, and there's been times where Abrinas has been
Real bad.
pretty bad.
Real bad sometimes.
What time are we at? Do we need to do our thing?
We're good for now.
Okay. Then I'm going to reveal my not-so-obvious player of the week.
Do it.
It takes me forever to get here, and I forgot to do it last spot. My not-so-obvious player of the week this week is Patrick Patterson. Thought he had a good week. Didn't do so much on the stat sheet, but he was solid, especially in that Pelicans game. I thought that he just made the right plays, especially defensively. You're going to have especially when you're playing against Anthony Davis. Which, to the Thunder's credit, man, they did such a good job against Anthony Davis.
He looked off, though.
Yeah.
He did look off, but they were trying to take away lobs. They were really focusing on him. And as Adam said post-game, that's pretty much their game plan. Those guards aren't looking to score.
Right.
They're looking to just get it to him. So it's good to see. I want to ask you guys about Patrick Patterson. Minutes in the playoffs. This will be a nice transition into our playoffs talk. Over-under for Patrick Patterson, 13.5.
Over. It's got to be over. I really hope it's over.
What does that mean for Jeremy Grant?
I don't think it means anything
Nothing?
for Jeremy Grant. No, I mean, I still think...
It's got to mean something for somebody.
Oh, yeah. Well, what we've seen previously, like Hustis and Ferguson.
They're gone.
Like, yeah, I think that means that those guys are going to be gone. And I kind of hope that it means a little something for Melo rather than...
That's what I was going to say. I think the only people it can mean something to is Melo, Grant, or Patterson.
I hope it is. I mean, we've said it in previous spots. Like, I hope it is Melo. I do, because
I
have
agree
to,
with you.
like, he needs to... I don't know. If Billy needs to find the minutes, it makes sense to pull Melo's back just a little bit. I'm not saying that there's no value there in having Melo. Like, not at all. But to not realize that there is value there with Patterson... Like, he's got to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'll go over as well because I think Grant is obviously our sixth man. Like, he's going to need a lot of time.
Yeah, I think it goes back and forth between him and Felton.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably Grant.
Alter.
It's probably mostly Grant.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we're going to definitely see some Pat.
Pat?
Pat.
I just don't know what to expect out of him in the playoffs because you have these games where Patterson looks like a no-show. And then you have games where you're like, man, he's got to stay on the court.
And then last night, wasn't that his pose shot that he hit last night?
You've seen him and Grant put
top.
together some really good minutes together lately. And that's huge for this team.
Yeah.
It's huge.
It's situational, though.
It is situational.
Like, you can't. It's not going to work
matchup-wise.
against everybody. Yeah.
Right, because if you have a big in there that is just a dominant guy, those two guys are going to get killed, usually. But I guess I don't know.
Well, I think it. So I got a few things because I've just been sitting here just listening to you guys taking all this in, ready to go at it. So on that note, I think going back to it's situational. What did we always say that Patrick Patterson would play better with a traditional big? Well, if Jeremy Grant can kind of play that cutting big motion, then yeah, it works out great for Patrick Patterson. That's why you've seen it be so successful because Jeremy Grant's not afraid to attack the paint right now. He's also not afraid to put it up from three. Well, no, but he's been making it from
been
three
doing all right.
So
He had a game.
I think like I'm gonna go kind of what I alluded to this a little bit earlier is that what we saw in the Pelicans game is pretty much about what we're gonna see in the playoffs. Patrick Patterson, you mentioned 13 and a half minutes. That's your over under. I'm gonna go slightly over. He played 14 minutes and 7 seconds. I think that's about where he lands. What Billy Donovan is trying to do, especially like going back to Alex Abrinas, he's trying to catch this lightning in a bottle where, especially with these role players, you want to get them to where they're confident enough in the minutes that they're playing, where they feel good, they feel like they're contributing, and that they're not taking away too much from the starters. I think that's kind of where you land with Alex Abrinas and Patrick Patterson. Guys that their egos, not to say that they're egos, but they've seemed a little fragile at times. Like
Right, yeah,
they'll make one mistake and it kind of ruins everything. You got to find that balance between like you're contributing enough, but you're not making enough mistakes. That you've got this confidence. That's why Abrinas hits those threes. That's why Patterson hits those threes. I think it's all that confidence thing. If you can find that way to balance it perfectly, which I think you did in the Pelicans game, I think really the starters were the ones that kind of brought things down. If you can get that with the bench, especially with those two guys, I think that's how you have extreme success in the playoffs.
I think that's a pretty good point. And I think that one thing that you can give Billy credit for, if you want to talk about his ridiculous rotations and his crazy lineups and you never know what you're going to get, is that the players on the bench, they're thinking the same thing. I might have to go play right now. I got to be ready.
Right.
You know,
you always have that.
Yeah, like if Ferguson's just for sure not playing, and he knows he hasn't played in 12 games, and he's going to be sitting over there like, I'm not playing.
You've got this weird, it's a dichotomy between I want to play right now and I have to play right now. And in those bad situations, like Raymond Felton is a perfect example. He's always a I want to play kind of guy.
Yeah.
And he goes out there and he kills it. That's why he's been so good for the bench.
Sometimes.
Some of these, sometimes, but it hasn't been as disastrous.
Right, I know
as
your
some of
point.
Where Terrence Ferguson, a lot of times it feels like I have to play.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Or Houston especially. It's felt like I have to play, and he's so tense and tries to just to not fuck it all up
Right.
that he ends up doing that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's fair.
Agreed. Hey, guys, let's take a minute to tell you about our sponsor. Wellness Perspective is a community of regular people and business partners that make it easier to live a happy, healthful life by providing support, motivation, advice, education, and big-time discounts on the services, products, and memberships that are essential to living healthfully.
So here's how it works. You join the Wellness Perspective community at mywellnessperspective.com. Memberships are just $7.97 a month. That was the price of that icy that Rob's drinking right now.
Expensive.
Whoa, I don't think you.
Yeah,
You're a little off
you
there.
get some diamonds
It's
in there.
more like
instead.
cheaper than Taco Bell.
Same
Which
price,
it shouldn't
right?
be
How much
anyways.
is? What's
Yeah.
the average order at Taco Bell?
Mine's like 12 feet.
Oh God!
It's like $10, something like that.
Is
Holy
it
cow! You're
really?
getting a lot of food.
A lot of cheesy
Wow.
gordita crunches in there. Those are expensive.
Now look at that. So if Jason's over here spending $10 on cheesy gordita crunches, or you can spend $8 and get healthy.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Then you utilize that members only Facebook group that they provide you with, online content, monthly emails for support, advice, and guidance. Lastly, you use your Wellness Works card. I got one on my keychain right now. You get incredible discounts at businesses in the Wellness Perspective Partner Network.
Yeah, such as
Oh, sorry.
ARC, Athletic Recovery and Rehabilitation, where we all just went.
That
Looked at the
place
facility. Was
is awesome.
really cool what they're doing.
So
over
we
there.
all, Jason and Rob got to do a float. They hooked us up with a float. I know Jason is a regular floater. It was your
first time floater,
First-time
long
floater.
time layer. I don't. What's
sleeper,
the
sleeper,
Sleeper,
yeah, in the dark. And then we all got to do a cryotherapy session.
That was cool.
It was
amazing.
Really cool. If you guys don't know what that is, you basically sit in a chamber. They just freeze your body, and it's supposed to just heal you. It makes you feel better.
They
it energizes
really
you.
seem to enjoy turning all of that cool air on and watching you suffer.
It was a lot of fun.
So if you go with any of these, you can get a 20% off monthly membership, which equals up to $480 of savings a year.
And ARC isn't the only one that
No.
that they're partnered with. They do gyms, they do spas, even coffee shops. So their partners are continuously growing. So jump on board now.
But Wellness Perspective is so much more than a discount card. At its core, Wellness Perspective is a community of people that want to help each other be happier and live healthier.
I like people that like me living healthier.
That is good.
They're fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to have a group of folks.
It's like they
helping you.
care. Yeah,
So
help me.
It's
go
not
sign
just-
up at Wellness Perspective today. Tell them the Thunderheads sent you. That's us. And we get a 10% referral commission. It helps us in a lot of ways, especially bringing this content to you now.
Absolutely. So go to mywellnessperspective.com. Check out all they have to offer. Wellness Perspective, making it easier for you to live healthy. All right, guys, let's talk about some playoff matchups. Playoffs.
That's so
It feels like we can actually... You know, I don't want to speak too soon because because this team, but it feels like we're on the brink of being able to exhale.
Well, it helps
I
that
don't know.
the 9-10 seeds are sort of struggling. and
Exactly.
So
I think the Thunder's magic number is 2, so they have to win. If they win 2, they're in. But someone's gonna. That's if everyone, 9 and 10 keep winning out, which isn't gonna happen. So
Hopefully.
I want to ask you guys, what's the best case scenario for OKC? who do they want in this first round? Because you have people out there saying, you know what? Why not have that 7 seed? Take on the Curryless Warriors in the first round. Or do you still think that 4 seed? Because I think we can rule out the 3 seed. Portland looks good. But you can still grab that 4 seed, get home court advantage. Which way do you guys lean?
4 is my choice for sure.
It depends on what you qualify as a failure or success for this team. Like, say they do get the 7 seed, and they have to play the Warriors, and let's say it goes 6 games, but they lose in the first round. Like, they played a really good team. They put themselves in a terrible position having to do that in the first place.
Yes.
But to me, that would still be a failure. If they don't get out of the first round, that's a failure, regardless of where you finished in the regular season. Like, you still are putting yourself in that position where you're taking on a tougher opponent, even without Curry. And the Thunder's best road to success is going to be home court advantage in that first round.
Right.
And
Exactly.
obviously you're not going to get that with the 7 seed. So if they lose in the first round, to me, that's a failure, regardless of how good they look. And so I would obviously say the 4 seed.
Yep.
I think socioeconomically, the 4 seed. Well, okay. Let's,
More home games.
Well, let's look at it this way. I mean, we've already dipped way into the luxury tax.
Yeah, we need that money.
What makes it better? If you guarantee yourself the 4 seed, but even if the thing goes 7, you've got 4 home games.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do whatever you can to make sure that you have enough home games.
So Clay's just in there like,
to
guys,
try and take the burden off.
help
you know?
me.
Yeah, and I
And it's
get
great for Oklahoma City.
you're right, and I get if you feel like you're gonna play the Warriors down the road anyway, so you're like, well, why not playing without Curry? Because obviously the Warriors are not near as good when they don't have Stephen Curry.
Of course.
However,
They're still pretty damn good, though.
However, you need that home court advantage. You don't want to have to go win one on the road just because you have to.
And you also don't want to lose to the Curryless Warriors in
True.
the first round of the
Because that's a good
That'd
point.
be embarrassing.
And you could still make a case that the number one primary goal is to retain Paul George.
That is the idea.
Paul George could have stayed in Indiana and lost in the first round.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know,
he definitely could do that.
He did it last year against LeBron. I think they were the 8 seed and the Cavs were the Cavs were the 2 seed. So Indiana was the 7 seed last
Could
year.
have done that for the next 5 years.
Took them to 7, which you could see the Thunder doing that. If the Thunder are 7 seed, they might take the Curryless Warriors to 7.
Yeah.
They might lose.
Very possible.
And then Paul George is like, this is the same thing. Why would I want to just stay here? This is the same thing that I've been doing. I don't see any validity to the dropping to the 7 seed and taking that team on.
Yeah. Anything that makes his team lose more, I'm not for.
Also, I think if Curry is out, they're still not exactly sure when he's going to come back.
He'll
But
probably pop up in Game 6.
let's say he does come back in the second round.
Yeah, he
like,
would.
Who knows even that he's going to be 100%? Like, coming off an injury, maybe there is some rust. You definitely want to take the more sure route of getting out of that first round. And then let's see how it goes.
Totally.
But-
I don't know how healthy he will be, but I can tell you that a lot of people will be saying he's not 100%.
Oh, yeah. No matter what happens.
He's not quite okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, to your point, I mean, if you're talking about the 4 seed, let's say the Warriors limp into the Western Conference Finals and the Thunder play their asses off and get to the Western Conference Finals,
Yes.
where Steph Curry maybe tweaks an ankle again, like maybe it gets a little worse, like maybe something happens to where he's really not good to go, and then you've got a good shot at him.
Maybe a
I
Tommy Harding
think-
pops out with a bat.
I think you take your
Banking
chances.
on him re-injuring himself.
I think you take your chances. You get that 4 seed and you go from there.
Yeah.
What do you think Billy's been saving Kyle Singler down there for?
Yeah, that's the
Coming in with a
secret weapon.
slide.
The goon.
With a Zaza Pachulia slide.
Yes.
Just one of those. So if they do get this 4 seed, who do they want to play? Who do you guys want to see? Let's go ahead and rank them. Obviously, if you get the 4 seed, you can't get the Warriors. You know what? Let's put away the... Before we get to this, how many wins does it take to get that 4 seed? In your mind.
What are we at,
2 to
44 right now?
2 to 3 more.
Somewhere between 1 and 4.
Yeah.
We're at 45 and 33.
I think it might take
45,
3
okay.
wins. I think you might need to go 3-1 to get the 4 seed.
Because the Spurs'
Yeah.
schedule, is it that difficult from now on?
It's a little difficult.
Is
Yep.
it? Okay.
Yeah, they have. I think they have 5 games left, and I think 3 on the road, 2 at
Okay.
home.
And do they have the?
And they're
do
not
they
good
have
on the road.
Warriors one of those times. They've
I'm
got
not
someone
sure.
good left.
Yeah.
Either way.
Anyways.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'd have to pull it up, but I know Minnesota's got the easiest of the bunch.
And Jimmy B's coming back.
Jimmy Butler might be coming back. They only play twice this week, so I don't know. I don't know how many win, but I have a feeling it's going to take 3.
It does take a 3-1 just looking at tiebreaker scenarios.
Yes.
Yeah, it seems
That's
like
the
3
problem.
would be with the tie, like taking into account the tiebreakers. It seems like 3 would be the minimum that you're going to have to win in that case.
So
I could go 4-0.
Just at a hypothetical, if the Thunder go 4-0,
feeling great.
are you guys jazzed entering the postseason? Are you like, oh yeah, we got this?
Is that a bad
yes.
pun because you
Is that
think
It
we're
wasn't
playing
meant
the
to be a
Jazz
pun.
seed?
Wasn't meant to be a pun, but it could have been, I guess.
I mean, I'd feel better, but I don't think I'm gonna just think
This-
we're
We're
gonna
winning it all.
win the chip.
Yeah.
I feel like we would all do that.
Yeah.
Just like
We're
we knew.
back.
They turned it on. They turned it on. All right, so now let's rank them. So the teams that you could play are the Curryless Warriors in the first round. The Blazers. All right, I got a personal bartender.
He
over
brought
here.
it to you and he poured it.
Nice.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy. Curryless Warriors, the Blazers, the Wolves, the Jazz, the Spurs, or the Pelicans.
I'm gonna go
Let's rank these from who you want to see to who you don't want to see.
probably first. I'd say the Pelicans. I said the Jazz before. I'd still be okay with them,
They're playing so well.
but they
God,
have
they're
started.
killing it, man.
Ricky was
Hey.
had some stats the other
There
day.
you go.
I didn't like it.
So hold on.
I had said
wanna
the
finish
Jazz
up. So
previously.
you go Pelicans, Jazz,
Probably the Kawhi-less Spurs,
Spurs,
Wolves,
Wolves,
Blazers, Warriors.
So you still would rather play the Blazers than the Curryless Warriors?
I'm exactly with Jason.
Ooh.
Yes, that means I did it right.
I feel like he cheated off of his computer, or did he cheat off yours?
I didn't write anything down.
I don't know.
You cheated off his again.
He's got a schedule.
No, I
Right.
got the standings.
What are
Yeah.
you, Justin?
I'm a little different. So
I'm also
I know,
different.
but what are your?
I'm a little-
Nice.
That's a little different.
Got him. Oh no.
Oh.
Uh-oh. What you got over there?
so I've got the Pelicans because that's easy. I've got the Spurs second. I've got the Jazz. Then I've got the Curryless Warriors.
Ooh.
wow.
Curveball.
Then I have the Wolves, and then obviously the Blazers. I want to stay as far away from the Portland Trail Blazers as possible.
We are so
Isn't that
frightened
so
of the Blazers.
strange?
But I have this weird thing that I feel like you play the Blazers in the playoffs. They seem legit good right now, though. They really
They do. It's weird.
But if you play them 2 games, it seems hard for them to just continuously kill you.
But they also have home court advantage.
Yes.
Right. That's
In that situation,
You're
the
right.
Thunder aren't
And-
going to pass them
and
for
we
that.
suck up there in Portland.
I mean, I'm not saying I want to play the Blazers, but I am saying that
so what's
I
yours?
do wonder over a 7-game series if I don't know. I'd be scared to play them for sure, but I wonder if you can limit their effectiveness over a 7-game series. Mine would be, I think I'm this not quite on Justin, but close. Pelicans first, Spurs second without Kawhi, obviously. Jazz, Wolves, Blazers, Warriors.
Interesting.
Okay.
So you saw the Warriors last then.
Yeah, man, I worry about who's
That's
going to guard
understandable.
KD.
Yeah.
Who's going
That's
to guard KD?
understandable.
And nothing sounds more painful than a Curryless Warriors team coming into Oklahoma
Yeah.
City and KD just torching us.
Yeah.
That sounds the worst.
That sounds
Just the
so
worst.
awful. I don't
Yeah.
like that at all.
You got any predictions? Might as well throw them out there.
For who we're gonna face,
Where we're finishing, who we're going to face, what you got?
I say we end up in that 5 versus the Spurs, probably, like where it is now.
Yeah.
Plugging me out.
I say we end up 6th, and we play the Blazers.
Oh God,
Unfortunately.
I think he's right.
dear God.
I'm with Rob.
Oh, I don't like this.
I'm with Rob.
Forever the optimist. I'm with Jason.
Thank you, sir.
What did you say? So I was under the
I
table.
think it's gonna stay the way it is. We'll probably flip flop
think
a
it's
little
gonna be
bit,
Spurs?
and then we'll probably not have home court advantage against the Spurs.
I'd prefer the Spurs for
Oh,
sure,
yeah.
man.
Well, yeah.
I think I said like a
Absolutely.
month or 2 ago, I think I was talking to you, and I said something like I just had like a weird daydream and a weird feeling
That
that
it's
we were
going
going
to
to play the
7?
Blazers. That we were going to
Oh.
play the Blazers. And I feel like that's where we're heading.
Hey,
I
it's
don't like
really hard to beat a team 8 times in the season.
That's true. That's true. We'll at least get 1 win in there, right?
That's
so
a really good
How many
point.
would you have? How far does that series go to the Thunder win in that case?
The Blazers?
Yeah.
Oh, we sweep them.
How embarrassing does it get if we get swept?
Right
Just 8
now,
straight
if,
losses.
No,
the,
we
if,
sweep them.
if
Fuck,
the season
yeah.
was over and we're playing
Well,
the
yeah,
Blazers
obviously
right
it's-
now, I'm taking the Blazers, probably in 7.
I just can't.
I know.
I can't.
But I told you guys that there's only a couple teams that I picked the Thunder against right now because I'm
Which
just
are?
not convinced. Those
Spurs,
teams would be
Pelicans.
Pelicans, Spurs.
Oh, that's it?
I
Not
think
even
so.
the
That's
Jazz?
the end of the list.
Not
I
even
think
the Jazz?
so, man. Right now,
Wow.
that's where I'm at.
That's scary.
Exactly.
What about the Clippers?
That sounds like you're
Well,
being
yeah.
very realistic. and I don't like it.
Well, the Jazz would make sense because the Jazz are not on the same talent level as the Thunder, but I feel like they match up pretty well against the Thunder.
Well,
as
Donovan
far
just
as
go bonkers.
Rudy Gobert inside, that worries me a little bit. I feel like they're playing such good ball, but they're one of those teams that I feel like the Thunder have a history of really disrupting kind of the way they play.
Yeah.
Do you trust Donovan Mitchell enough in the playoffs to do anything?
Who
though,
knows?
as a rookie?
As a
It's hard
rookie,
to know.
Exactly.
that'd be
Who knows?
crazy.
This is so off topic, but who's your rookie of the year? Do you go Donovan Mitchell or you go Ben Simmons?
I'm going personal preference, and so I choose Donovan Mitchell, but
So you just
I just discard all the stats.
I think
Don't give a shit
Donovan.
about that.
I think
I
Donovan
like
Mitchell.
Billy Donovan.
I think Donovan Mitchell is the better player, but I think Ben Simmons wins rookie. Of
you
the
think
year.
Yeah.
Mitchell's a better player?
I think he is. Yeah.
He's probably got a higher ceiling, but it's so hard to say. Every time I say that, like I go back and forth. I'm like, I don't know.
It's crazy because, like at the beginning of the year, it seemed like it was definitely going to be Ben Simmons. Like that was one of the easier ones to kind of pick.
It's kind of impressive that Donovan Mitchell has gotten into that conversation that hard.
Yeah.
Like,
Ben Simmons is gonna win it though,
Yeah.
isn't he?
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So you think it should be Mitchell?
Oh, I don't like Ben Simmons.
Why?
I really don't. I don't know what it is.
He's foreign.
No, I watched him. I watched him play against OU in 2016, like against that Buddy Hield team.
There
That was
it
a
is.
great game though.
It was, but yeah, I hate Ben Simmons. So
Hate's a
That-
strong
that-
word.
that one
I
game-
hate him.
Just really turns you against this person.
He's good though, man. Like
He is.
when you look at the
He
way
is.
he plays unlike any other player in the NBA, which is kind of cool to me. So if you had to pick one, gun to your
That's
head,
actually going to win.
yeah, you have to pick one for the rest of their careers: Donovan Mitchell or Ben
I'm
Simmons.
thinking Donovan Mitchell. I think
Yeah.
he'll be the better player.
Same.
I agree, just because the way the league is trending, where it's all shooting.
Yeah.
I want to gamble on Donovan Mitchell.
Although-
He's so good at
Yeah.
driving
He's
and
so good,
dishing.
man. No, I think that he has the ultimate higher ceiling, but I think Ben Simmons has a better chance to be the better player. But if Donovan Mitchell like continues to grow, he'll be better.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like he's got size. Like Ben Simmons has the size working for him, and he just knows how to play the game like so well. And he knows
his
he knows
pass-
his
passing is
limitations.
crazy good.
He gets in the paint. It's pretty crazy, man. You have rookies like this. Those guys are going to be problems down the road, especially
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell in the West, in the same division, no less. All right, let's talk about the Melo benching.
You mean
Before
his
we move on.
self benching?
His self benching. Before we move on to our game, good sign, bad sign, doesn't matter. Where are we at?
Let's one of these. You and I had talked about this. I'm interested to see what these guys say.
I've got a couple different things. I think it's kind of weird on Donovan's perspective that it came to Melo having to say it for himself. Kind of
Right.
proud of Melo though.
Yeah.
A little proud of him
Okay.
because he finally was like, I'll sit this one out. But why did he have to wait? You know, or why didn't Donovan do it? That's kind of my question.
Is it?
I'm going, just to answer the initial question, I'm going a whole lot of nothing. I think it is insignificant. I
Right.
think it's awesome that my first thought on it, whenever we didn't even realize until after the game that Melo it was his decision, was like, holy cow, good on Billy Donovan. Like there was a guy who was hot. You finally you kind of stood up and decided, look, he's going to stay out there, come back. And that's whenever Melo hadn't played the entire fourth quarter. Like I was like, holy cow.
Right.
That's a really big move there for him. But then you figure out that it's Melo who did that, and then it makes you wonder about Billy Donovan. Like,
Yeah.
why didn't
Right.
you?
But doesn't it at the same time kind of confirm what we've already thought?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
Melo's just gonna do what he wants.
Yeah, like Billy Donovan. I mean, he didn't have the guts to bench him all season long. You don't have he didn't have the guts to not play him down the stretch.
the worst part was that they didn't win the game.
That
was the worst part.
That's a
Because now
bad.
he's like,
That's
we'll
a
never
bad
do
sign.
that again.
It's a bad sign.
Yeah, that part.
That's true.
Would they have won the game if Carmelo played?
No, I
No.
don't think so.
I think it's a great sign.
Ooh, hot take.
I think
Hot take
look,
coming?
look, we've talked about this. I've brought this up numerous times over the season. Is that what Carmelo Anthony needs to be is a consistent, like role model and leader in that locker room. And I think for those players to see that and knowing like these guys grew up, like Jeremy Grant, he grew up watching Carmelo.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Jeremy Grant probably remembers being like what 6 years old watching the 2003 national championship when it was Syracuse and Kansas with Nick Collison. He's playing with both those guys on his team, and he finds out after the game like, oh, the reason why I played all that fourth quarter is because Melo saw what I was doing,
Right.
That's got to feel good.
and he told coach to not put me keep me in, and Melo's not going in. I think that's a huge deal. I think that's something that has a ripple effect with these younger players, and I think it also shows that Melo understands that this is a big picture thing. I think that Melo realizes that it's not just about him. It's about this team effort. It's about the cohesiveness of this roster, and it's about moving forward and trying to get better, which they've struggled with. They've struggled to get better, but it's that one small step to we've got an ultimate goal, and if I'm going in this game and if I'm taking away these minutes from this guy that's playing so well and I'm the reason that we lose this game, that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Wouldn't it be fair to say Melo's done a good job at that all season long, though? Sacrificing his role. I think the only reason that anyone has anything against Carmelo Anthony is the fact that he's not played well all season.
And he hasn't tried the bench thing.
Right.
But it's not.
That's like a little
But
bit
that's
enough.
a little unfair. Like
Right,
he's
yeah.
not really. He's not going to say like it's one thing to say like those guys are rolling. Like let's let it play out a little bit. It's another to say like, hey, just I'll go to the bench. You bring me in when you want.
Yeah.
Then like the thing that instantly when you talk about that everyone will bring up is look at Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade has no problem doing it. Why can't Carmelo
And
Anthony?
it's like the whole thought about, like, we've talked about this too much probably, of, hey, now you have Pat or Grant playing with Adams. With Patrick Patterson, that would actually seem to work a lot better chemistry-wise. And then, Melo, you get to do what you want on the bench.
Right.
That whole thing. It almost seems like if that happened, what if it just fixed everything? Not that it would.
Karan Jones on YouTube says Melo benching himself and Billy letting him do it is a sign of trust.
Ooh.
I mean, I think that's
like that.
true.
That's what's so hard to say, though. It's either a sign of trust or a sign of weakness. It's one or the
Well,
other.
I mean, I think Billy said for a long time, I mean, he does give his players kind of like, especially star players, he kind of gives them decision-making in what they do. Like, he's asked them what to do in certain
There's
situations.
that, like-
That's what we. But
Which
it's,
is that a
it kind
problem?
of is
Right,
That's the scary part.
It kind of is a catch-22 though.
Yes.
Because you do want him to be able to trust the guys to be able to decide on certain things. But ultimately, the whole season, it seems like Billy has no idea what he's doing. And it's easier on this side, like for us, because they haven't lived up to expectations.
Right.
So then you can kind of blame Billy Donovan. He gets some of that blame. And then whenever there's questionable things, I don't know. It just makes it a little bit easier to kind of blame Billy Donovan for stuff that if he would have just stepped up and done it himself, you wouldn't have.
But how many coaches in the NBA outside of Greg Popovich would actually step up and throw
bench a
Melo on
star.
the bench?
I don't know that matters.
But the thing is I don't think there are any. I think Greg Popovich is the only one, and so I think you get put in a hard spot as an NBA coach in a player-driven league with Carmelo Anthony, who has that kind of star power. It's hard to throw a guy.
I don't know because
throw him on
you're
the
also
bench like
talking
that.
about Billy Donovan is fighting for his job at this point as well.
True.
I would say.
I
So-
do wonder, on that note, if there's, Sam Presti's put Billy Donovan in this position.
Yeah.
But also, Billy Donovan's a head coach. Like, you should be, you're a professional head coach. You got to be ready for this. Although this is, I mean, there's not a lot of head coaches in the history of the NBA that have coached players like Billy Donovan is coaching right now.
It's pretty crazy.
Ego-wise and just, like, without even knowing, just first year, two on the team. Like, it's a tough spot, for sure. So I wonder if that almost gives Billy a little slack.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But
He's had no consistency, that's for sure.
You wonder if this happened 50 games ago. If
Yeah.
Carmelo goes to Billy and says, "No, keep him in." 50 games ago, how that might change the shape of this team going forward.
Like I said, ripple effect.
Yeah.
I think it does have more of an effect down the road where we are now if he does it back then.
Carmelo's just an expert timer. He's coming in right. He's like, yeah.
He
this is
like
perfect
saved
time.
himself a little bit there. He's like, this doesn't really. We're almost to the playoffs. I'll go ahead and do it.
Also,
this time.
I think we might lose this
So-
one, so I don't want to be a part of it.
Before we jump into this game real quick, we kind of hinted this way back in the rundown, and I had it in my notes ready to bring up. So Steven Adams.
Old Steve.
So
He did it.
So, some of the things
Nice.
that I saw, like okay, so I want to pose just a few things to you guys. One, is Steven Adams tired? I think he looked terrible against the Nuggets. Like he let Jokic do whatever the hell he wanted to in the paint.
Yep.
Especially on the glass. Steven Adams was just he didn't have that same kind of box out like mentality on the defensive glass and what Jokic do, whatever, and same on the offensive glass as well.
On the Spurs game too.
Yeah, the same thing. Going to the Spurs game, he had that terrible turnover where it pulls down the offensive rebound, just kind of looks. Granted, I think that was like Paul George is usually there, but kind of panicked.
Yeah, it was panic.
And I think defenses, you brought this up, Jason, I think defenses are starting to figure him out a little bit because he's so one-dimensional on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's really, he's either dunking the ball or he's got that weird little floater.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's it. So is he tired? Is it defenses? Is it a combination? Well, what do you guys think?
If he is tired, is it anything that we can really criticize?
He
No.
should be tired. He's been
No,
doing a
absolutely
lot of
not.
work.
He might have, outside of Russ, he probably has the most responsibility on the team.
I don't think he's tired though. To me, he just doesn't look right. Like maybe I don't know if it's injury. I don't want to say it's injury,
Yeah,
but
everyone's allowed to go through a funk, and this might just be a little
I
slump.
don't think it is that though. I mean, to me, like even whenever he runs, it just doesn't look right. Like I wonder if whenever
Big dude.
Yeah.
no, but I mean
Compared to normal.
throughout the year, yeah. And so I do kind of wonder if maybe after the season we'll hear something about he's got something
like a tweak
going on
of some sort, or
yeah, because we also Anthony Davis. Whenever after the game, you heard about how
he had a sprained ankle or something.
yeah he's got a sprained ankle. If they weren't fighting for a playoff spot, he probably wouldn't be playing. And he didn't look very good.
right.
I just think that there's something else that Adam seems to like more so than previous years. Like he seems to be falling on the court a lot more and getting hit in the jump.
But that's
still.
all kind of part of his play, though, right? I mean, that's kind of who he is.
It's just too. There's no way to know right now.
He's
what
a
it
bit
is.
of an embellisher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he does.
He's real good at throwing himself on the ground.
He's an instigator.
So
Yeah,
good
you're
at
right.
it.
There's no way to know. But in that Pelicans game, I think you did see more of the Adams that we know. You saw that aggressive Adams. He had 2 huge dunks to start the game. He got back on the offensive glass, which he hadn't been quite as good at the past few games prior.
Well, and like what we were talking about earlier with defenses kind of pouncing on him as soon as he gets an offensive board, like there was a point in that Pelicans game where it looked like he was like, oh, okay, I'm tired of this shit. And he just ripped it away and dunked it. And it was like, yes!
Oh, that's the best.
More of
Steven
that.
Adams.
But
That's
you
the
look at
best
that
Steven.
3 stretch. I talked about it earlier. But you had Aldridge, Gasol, you had Anthony Davis, and you have
Right.
Jokic.
Jokic.
And so that also is going to make it look worse.
yeah,
Sure,
because
those
they're
guys are
all
so
super good.
Yeah, he's got his hands full. I mean, I guess if he's a little exhausted after that stretch, it's a little understandable.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good bigs in this league right now. But a lot of good bigs, they're not going to be there also.
Yeah.
And he might have the advantage there. He's you could make an argument he's been the guy that has given Golden State the most fits.
Oh,
This
yeah.
season.
Yeah, they don't have
He's
an
given
answer
a
for him.
lot of teams
He's
a
the-
lot of fits.
That
He's
is
the
true.
Thunder's biggest advantage against Golden State. So
But that's
100%.
kind of it, though, right? I mean, you're looking at like Utah, Pelicans, even Portland with Nurkic. Like that's
who always
been an
seems to
issue.
play
So I
Adams
think
well.
Yeah.
obviously they're going to need a huge series from Adams.
That's
I think Utah's a push.
Gobert's gotten good though. He's gotten really good.
I do.
It's real good.
Attention, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Bulls and the Bears of the Oklahoma City Thunder stock market. All right, guys. So we're heading into the playoffs, as we talked about. 4 games left. So I'm going to reveal a Thunder stock, and you're going to buy or sell. No holding this time. Just buy
Oh.
or sell. And so I want you to kind of give me how you're feeling about these trends or not necessarily always trends, but stats, whatever the case may be.
And
Whatever
not
you're
for
feeling.
me, but for them, buying is if something's not good.
Well, it depends. It depends on the thing. We'll see.
Definitely not for me. I was asking for a friend.
He's asking. For
So
a
the
friend.
your first stock is going to be Alex Abrinas' recent play. He's shooting 51.9% from 3 over the last 11 games. He's a plus 3.6 in the box score and a plus 18.6 net rating over that same span. Are you buying that stock? You selling that stock? Scott.
Since we can't hold, I'm going to buy that stock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that we've seen an increase in minutes, and I think that they've kind of figured out a little something with Alex, and I think it'll continue.
Okay.
Like it.
No,
That's not the
wrong game.
Love it or hate it. I'll buy. Although, we're
4-4 is
oh Jesus,
Oh my god.
breaking
the
shit.
disaster of the week.
Does that mean you're buying
I
it?
think that
I'm
means
buying.
Look at all those cards you
I'm
have.
buying.
Somebody's probably getting the number off of it.
I don't
right
mean
now.
to depress you guys, but right now seems like if you're in the stock market business,
When you sell at
you
the top.
sell.
See, that's what I'm. That was
That's
what I
if
was
you
trying to
expect
figure
it
out.
to go down, though. I'm thinking he's still on the way up.
Oh, so
I
you're
do
buying
too.
low.
Yeah.
You're gonna sell high later.
So
Yeah,
it's-
we didn't get in
high low.
on the lowest part, but
That's
Yeah,
true.
but
At
I
the same
still
time-
think you're going up.
exactly. Rob and I are on the same page. We
Yeah.
know it's going up.
Yeah,
We're
I
'cause
didn't
you
throw
took
my
out-
credit cards out there, but yeah.
Well, then I'll say, if that's the case, if things are still going up for Alex Abrinas, Billy Donovan, number one, needs to play him. And this Thunder team is in great shape.
Yes, I agree.
agreed.
Okay. Next, playoff Carmelo Anthony.
Sell them.
Did everyone just agree that the Thunder are in great shape, by the way?
We shouldn't have.
Not homers, so don't worry
Playoff
about that.
Carmelo Anthony. He's the stock. I got some stats here. He's played 66 total playoff games in his career. 25.7 points per game. 41.7 field goal percentage. About what he is this year, I think. 32% from three. He gets to the line 8 times a game. That ain't happening this year. 7.3 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 1.3 steals. And, most importantly, he's 23 and 43 in his career.
Go ahead and sell.
Playoff Carmelo Anthony. You buying, you selling.
Selling.
It's gonna be. You're not getting much return on that sell.
It's not going up, so
Huh?
I mean,
You feel confident you're gonna get what you can get
hopefully it does.
before he retires, and then
Yeah.
the
This is
money
last chance.
extinguishes.
Yeah. It just.
Yeah, I'm going to
Company
sell
goes
the crap
bankrupt.
out of that stock. We just talked about how, like, I hope Patrick Patterson can find more minutes. I hope Jeremy Grant can find more minutes. And for some of that to happen, like, Carmelo is going to have to take a step back.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sell that stock.
I'm going to sell, but I'm also going to hedge that with a future option on his 3-point percentage going up.
Wow.
Ooh.
I just made a power move.
That was nice.
It is. So
I
you're
feel
like,
like you should be in the markets.
you're, you're
think
reserving
his-
an interest in
his,
this stock.
Yeah, I think his 3-point percentage goes up because I feel like
that's
he's going to hit some.
hopefully
So do
all
you
he
feel
takes.
you feel confident in his ability to deliver?
Yeah, I feel like his numbers can, like, just looking at these stats right now, I think they're going down. But I think his 3-point percentage is going up. I think his efficiency overall is going to go a little bit up from what it has
If
been.
his
and
efficiency,
he's getting some W's.
if his efficiency goes up from what those numbers I just read, then I think all y'all are crazy and you should be buying. If his efficiency goes up, that's a great thing for this team.
Well, I said I'm selling on the
I was
hard
selling on
line
previous
numbers.
Previous playoff Melo is what I was selling on.
No, we're talking about this year
You
playoff
said
Melo.
playoff Melo.
I just revealed his playoff numbers.
He also, the Fox Sports team really said a stat the other day that he's almost past his career high for three-pointers made in a season.
Oh, that is true.
Wow.
Which I don't remember.
Which is- Because isn't that true for PG as well? So that's kind of cool for the both of them.
Not sure. Have to look that up.
I got it. Oh yeah. So he's 4 away from passing his.
So he's
Three-pointers
going to
made.
pass it unless something happens. He's going to pass it.
Yeah.
Next stock, the Thunder bench. This season, they're the 13th best bench as far as net rating goes. They're exactly even. Exactly even. Not bad,
Statistically
right?
impossible.
That's it. But isn't that honestly? Isn't that everything we've asked for from
They're
the
not
Thunder bench?
negative.
Yes.
Yeah, just maintain
Good job,
until
fellas.
Russ gets back on the court. So the Thunder bench, you buying, you selling. Start with you, Justin.
I'm going to go ahead and buy the bench. I'm going
You
all
buy
in
this
with him.
bench for cheap, dude.
I'm buying too.
Exactly.
I like it.
Low stock, low price, high reward. I think what we've seen over the last few weeks where they've really built that cohesion as a unit, I think that's what we see going into the playoffs. And obviously, like, the rotation is always going to be short, already going to be short anyways. So I like it.
Yeah, that's what I was
Buying.
thinking. Basically, they're starting to kind of figure out who's actually going to be playing. I think hopefully we continue like the Pelicans game, like Justin mentioned. See less Ferguson, less Hustis.
So
And,
if you had to
it'll be
put
good.
your money on it right now, Rob, Ferguson, Houston, are they playing in the playoffs?
I think no minutes.
0 minutes.
Unless maybe there's a Hustis matchup defensively.
It
but
seems crazy to try to guess anything Billy Donovan's going to do.
No, but
he's probably going to
would-
start both of them.
yeah.
I would hope. I
Change it.
think like what Justin was saying against the Pelicans. Like I think that is there's 9 guys there, and I kind of hope that that's
Totally
what we
agree.
see.
But we've been wanting that for weeks now.
He's
Yeah.
just holding on to it, you know?
We see it one game and then
Till
it
it's
changes a
important.
little bit. Yeah. All right, next. right in line with what we just talked about. This Thunder stock is Billy Donovan's playoff rotations. Big reason that people say, the Thunder were able to beat the Spurs a couple years ago. The big reason they were able to take the Warriors to 7. Are you buying or are you selling Billy Donovan's playoff rotations?
Bye.
Woo! He's a confident man right over here.
I'm dropping a lot of money on this team right
Throw
now.
those cards back
I'm
out.
buying a lot of stock.
That's the optimism of
I mean, if
podcast.
next time we play this game, we're actually dishing out like Monopoly money, so
Ooh.
you have like a.
That's a good idea.
That is a good idea. We're
I
doing
like
that.
it. I'll buy.
There's all the money.
You buying?
Yeah. I think it's going to
Rob's
have it figured
selling.
out by that
yeah,
point.
I'm gonna sell.
Old Tinker
if
Man.
there's any if I'm getting any value for him, I'm selling
While
many
me
of
and
them.
him are buying,
Yeah,
you're
there
selling
you
it
go.
to us.
Do you think those rotations a couple of years ago were fluky?
Nah.
And like he stumbled?
I think it was more so personnel that
Yeah.
you had at that point,
Good
rather
matchups.
than good matchups and personnel. Yeah, more so than Billy Donovan just being some genius who
Right.
figured it out.
Yeah, in his first year of coaching.
Hurtful.
All right, next. Next stock is OKC's offensive rebounding. They're first in the NBA this season by a decent margin,
Sell.
27.9% rate. They've struggled a little bit lately. So are you buying or selling?
Selling. You can't go higher. You're first.
Well, you can go higher percentage-wise.
Sure
I'm
can.
talking
So-
about as a difference maker, as a legitimate difference maker in the playoffs, something that can go win you a game.
No, I'm selling that.
He's got money left.
He's
I
still.
don't know how he spent so much.
Hell yeah, I'm buying. Well, yeah, no, I especially looking at potential matchups. Obviously, throw out the Jazz, but yeah, I like Steven Adams that much, and I think he gets that second win come playoff time, and I think he continues to dominate that offensive glass. I'm gonna get more on my investment already. I'm buying more stock.
As your investment partner, I will back you up by saying that the game does slow down in the playoffs. Get a lot more half-court offense, which the Thunder haven't been great at. So I guarantee that there's a reason why Sam Presti has designed this team to be a good offensive rebounding team, because he knows, number one, Russell Westbrook's your point guard. He's not going to shoot 50% from the field. That's just not who he is.
Nope.
He's going to take a lot of crazy shots, and you need a guy down there that can clean up a little bit. And number two, that's just kind of the nature of the playoffs. He designs this team to try to win these games in the playoffs when it slows down. So I think you got to buy this, guys. I think you're making a decision selling it. We're buying what you're selling.
As my investment partner, I'm pretty sure I play this game incorrectly.
Dude, the first 82 are boring.
Jason's bad with
It's
money.
all about the games after the 82.
It doesn't help that you're asking him to pick a side when he waffles on every pick.
True. Good point. Next stock, Russell Westbrook's usage percentage. Now, I'll lay this one out for you,
Please
Jason.
do that.
He's third in the NBA this year, 33.4% usage rate. So if that usage rate goes up, I want you to buy it. If it's going to come down, I want you to sell it.
I'm buying. It's probably going to go up. Shrunken rotation. And he's going to take more.
Yeah, but I don't think that shrunken rotation really is going to affect.
Yeah, it's not going to affect it.
Russ.
It's when he's on
going
the
to
court.
become hero time.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy it just for that, because I think that those games are all gonna be, just like we've seen recently. These games are all gonna be close. You're playing obviously in the playoffs, you have to play playoff teams. Did you guys know that?
That's true.
That is.
Yeah. So I think
a
these
point.
games are gonna be close, and
Well,
you're gonna see.
hey, mark
Russ in the
that
fourth.
time down so I can cut that.
You're gonna want to go
point.
back.
Yeah,
to
I'm
it.
gonna want to cut that
we have
point,
to
Rob.
play
Just
point. That's a
Yeah.
good one. Probably the best point all podcast.
I'm selling.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm selling because I think, so
You're a risky investor.
Let's say that
You should
let's say we're
cut
going back
ties.
to San Antonio, being that first round matchup. What Billy Donovan has done when he's played San Antonio in the playoffs is he's matched what San Antonio does. Scott Brooks did this as well. That's how you beat San Antonio. Russ becomes a better distributor. He figures out things to do. I think his usage rate goes a little bit down. I think Paul George and Carmelo both step their games up
I
for
hope
the
so.
playoffs. I think Steven Adams stays right around, if not a little bit better than what he was. Russ's usage goes down.
Interesting. If I asked that same question, but Paul George, usage rate up or down?
Up.
Hopefully up.
It's got to be up, right?
I would
I'm
hope
buying.
so.
Yeah.
All right, next. Your Thunder stock is Paul George's playmaking ability. You buying? Are you selling?
I'm selling.
Oh.
I don't think he's very good at it.
Woo! It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts.
He
me.
makes some dumbass plays a lot of times.
I'm with Jason.
I just watching him pass sometimes is hurtful.
I'm gonna sell. Like, not that I think that it's gonna go down drastically, but I don't want to. I don't think the value is going to be that much higher or that much lower. I'm going to go ahead and sell my way out of this one because I bought everything else.
I just watched a force field of depression go over you guys on that side of the table when bringing up that.
Yeah.
Next stock, we got 2 stocks left, guys. Steven Adams field goal attempts. Buy if they go up, which I have a feeling I know what Justin's going to do. Or you sell if those field goal attempts go down. He's averaging 9.5 field goal attempts per game, which is 4th on the team this season.
I'm going to buy because I hope that they go up.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
With you.
Thunder need to buy it. Yeah.
I'm buying just because, once again, going back to I bought into the offensive rebounding. You got your putbacks. You got your tip-ins. You got all that. Yeah, it's going to go up. I'm buying.
I hope the Thunder are able to do a better job in the second halves when the playoffs come of getting him involved and getting him good shots.
It'd be real sweet.
I know it's hard because they get him out of the way early and they make the defensive focus on him and they try to open up the floor. I mean, that's total game plan by the Thunder in large part, but I hope that they're able to kind of take a different approach at times if they need to. You can't be too predictable. Next, last, but definitely not least, your Thunder stock, free throws. 29th in the NBA, 71.1% on the season. How could it get worse?
Buy it.
You got to buy it while it's low, right?
They're going to get in the playoffs, and they're going to get serious all of a sudden, hopefully, and be like, guys, just make the damn free throw. It's not that hard.
It is. They're struggling.
Especially Russ lately. Russ had such a good
bad.
month of February, and now he's just, it seems like he's shooting 50% from the line.
Can they bring in like a team psychologist to,
That's not a bad idea.
or maybe like some neuropathic shocking? I don't know what that is.
Like a
I
Men
might
in
have just
Black
made that
thing?
up. No idea.
They need to go
You guys
cryo before the game.
Cryotherapy.
Ooh, good call. So buy, sell.
You guys have seen Wolf of Wall Street, right?
Have seen it.
You know, it makes all the the beginning investments is all penny stocks.
Yeah.
Thunder shooting 71.1%. That's penny stocks. I'm buying.
I like it.
Why not?
Do you guys remember when they played the Nuggets and they shot 15 for 27?
Sure don't.
Hey, remember when Paul George missed that really crucial free throw and we lost the game?
I
because
remember
of it?
whenever Melo missed 2.
And Russ.
And
Oh, God. Are we doing this?
Yeah,
Are we
it's
doing
happening.
this right now?
going down.
I don't think we should do this.
Oh, no.
All right, before we get to Twitter questions, let's do Justin's Taste of Thunder. But while you do it, by the way, I'm going pee.
Okay,
all right.
you get out of here.
I'm going to try your beer.
Okay, so no, you absolutely should. So this week we're going with Coop Alpha Hive. It's out of Oklahoma City. Coop, great brewery.
Coop.
Yeah, great
That's pretty
brewery here from Oklahoma City. It's 9.1% alcohol by volume.
Wish I would have known that.
The reason why I did
He's
that was
drunk.
because, God damn it, we need something to put more alcohol in our system because the playoffs are coming up.
And this is about to be stressful?
But yeah, you need a coping mechanism. Alcohol is great for that. There's just enough sweetness. So it's Alpha Hive. There's honey in this. Like, that's how you get the ABV so far up. You got to add sugars for the yeast to drive up the ABV. So there's a little bit of honey. So there's just enough sweetness to remind you that the playoffs really are just around the corner. The thing that we've been waiting for, it's right there. It's also double IPA. So there's plenty of bitterness from the hops to remind you that the playoffs are right there. And God, this season has been rough. But anyways, it's a really great beer. I've always really enjoyed this beer. One of my favorites. I've always really loved Coop, so it's great to actually feature like an Oklahoma City beer on here.
Yeah.
For once. But yeah, I mean, if you guys out there on YouTube, out there listening on just iTunes, whatever, go find Untapped. It's UNTAPPD, no E. Add me as a friend, JW Thunderstruck, and let's share a pint or 6.
I like it.
I feel like that went horribly. Did it?
No, it was great.
It was a disaster of the week.
No,
I'm just kidding.
It was
Just
super
kidding.
good.
Twitter
Also,
questions?
I like that beer.
It's really strong, and I progressively just got a little more intoxicated.
Are your
I
lips
like it.
numb or no?
No, they're normal.
It's such a great beer. You know, it's weird, though, because Beer Advocate has 9.1 and the website has 9.1.
It says 8.9.
Totally on the can, it says 8.9.
Discrepancy there.
That segment's over.
But
Average it out.
over 100 IBUs.
We added you on Untapped. We get it.
Also, that information's there, too. So, from Daniel Rodero at DannyYolo124, who else started to clench their butt cheeks when Russ bricked that stupid 3 at the end of the 4th?
The only 3 he took in that game, I believe.
Is he getting back to that? What are we gonna
I
say?
hope so.
How many threes? If we had to set an over/under threes per game in the playoffs, and I gave you 3.5, what are we gonna say?
Ooh, I would set it at. I was gonna say 2.5, 3.5. I'm going under.
Under, I hope.
I struggle
Over.
with 2.5.
I hope it's under.
I
but
go over 3.5.
I'm saying over, but I would hope that it's under.
Yeah.
I'll go under.
I go under, and
Fine.
Rob, I like your line because I have a hard time with that one.
I just think when you slow the game down and you're having to do more, he's gonna have to jack up more late clock threes.
I don't mind that. It's the early or
Right.
late
Well,
in the
yeah,
game,
absolutely.
like terrible.
But sometimes,
The
like
23
he'll have
seconds left.
He'll have the ball with 7 seconds left on the shot clock, and instead of like calling for a quick pick and just seeing what you can get, he'll just be like, nah, I'll just shoot it from here.
yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
From Ron at a Yunt15. Wait, we had more points than the other team? What happens now? Is that a good thing?
I believe it is.
We're
Tis.
champions,
It's
right?
rare.
Tis. I think
Also,
we're
on
champions.
that butt cheeks thing, have we had our butt cheeks unclenched at all in the last?
Oh man,
Month.
I couldn't poop a spaghetti noodle.
You know what I was thinking?
That's interesting.
Basketball is such a beautiful sport, right? But at the same time, it is by far the most stressful sport. Like, so many points in a game, yet every point, when it comes down to it,
Ends up mattering completely.
right, and it's just every point, a team scores, and you're like, no,
So I was like watching.
No.
I was watching the Nuggets game after the fact, and knew that we lost by 1. And so every time they missed, I was like, God, that was it. That was the one.
next.
Fair enough. From Bradley Evans at Rad Brad Evans. Will the Warriors throw the game tomorrow so they don't have to play OKC in the first round?
Do you think that's true? They don't want to see OKC in the first round?
Probably not.
I don't think that's true.
They probably don't give
Really?
a shit.
Well, I think even if they did fear Oklahoma City, which they should, I think they're so delusional and so up their own ass that they wouldn't ever think that.
I don't think that Oklahoma City is the easiest matchup for them, but I don't think they fear Oklahoma City.
Right, but I think they're so delusional and so up their own ass that they would never fear them.
They're also really good.
They are really good.
I hate them.
Yeah,
They're the
I do
worst.
too. And man, my favorite. I put this off a few weeks ago, thanks to Nordier Villafort in Villafort. Which ancient warrior class does Westbrook fit in? For example, ninja, samurai, Spartan, musketeer, Viking, and then also his teammates. Whatever you guys got.
I like the Spartan for Russ.
Yeah, that
He's,
makes sense.
He's gonna go down with his guys no matter what happens.
He's like a weird mixture between a couple of those,
Yeah.
though, right? Because he has like the agility of a ninja.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not like I don't think he's too much in your face. To
Yeah.
be sort
That's
of a
true.
ninja.
Yeah. I mean, he's not as.
He's not necessarily sneaking around you ever.
No, he's
True.
going right through your.
It's not much
body.
finesse to Russell
Yeah.
Westbrook.
Yeah.
I like Steven Adams as a Viking. Just
Definitely
the
a
straight,
Viking.
just
Like that's
power,
a no-brainer.
Brutal force.
Or whatever New Zealand Warriors are called.
Vikings.
I also
That's
so
it.
I also like what is his name? Carmelo Anthony.
Ah, yes.
Thank you. As a
you.
musketeer, specifically one of the 3 musketeers, and he's the crappy musketeer. They're just like, oh, there's 2 other of us. We're the 3 musketeers, and Steven Adams is just like, I'm just gonna axe this other guy. Like,
I think
it's
Paul
whatever.
George would be a samurai.
Yeah. I like
That
that.
seems right.
he seems like his moves are like weirdly like they're smooth, but they're jerky. Like, he doesn't seem as like finesse as a samurai, but at the same time, he does seem that
yeah,
finesse.
that's what he
It is
is.
strange.
You
Who's
can't
the-
like get it.
It's like he's not a very good at practicing his craft samurai. Like
Yeah.
where he has really bad times at doing it.
Like cuts his own finger
He
off.
like
Yeah,
he barely passed the test.
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm done. I'm a samurai now.
Like
no more training.
Some days whenever they were like, wake up and practice like sharpening your blade, he's like, I'm gonna go to strip club. But I'll be back.
Who's the ninja of this team, though?
Raymond Felton. Really? Yeah.
He's too
Low
fat.
center of gravity, dude. What are you gonna do?
The Chris Farley. What
The
was
Beverly Hills Ninja.
Beverly Hills Ninja. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who he is.
Well, who else would it be?
Maybe Ferguson.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe a Arenas?
He got a ninja body.
Yeah, yeah, ninja body for sure.
So Kyle Singler's the blue belt in karate, right?
Yeah, I don't know what.
Is
he
blue
is.
bad?
He's the
Then yeah.
intern.
It's not black. I can tell you that.
That's true.
Blue's
The
not
intern.
black. Write that one down. Blue is not.
Point.
Yeah. It's
Equal
with the
sign
playoffs.
/
Next.
From Todd Weidel at ToddBoy23, could you guys tell a massive difference tonight in PG's pace of play?
Good.
Talking about the Pelicans game? Yeah, for sure. I think we talked about that a little
We
bit.
did.
Just the way that he Man, when he looks engaged, he's such a good player.
Yeah.
You know?
And then he was confident, just the way he was taking a shot. I just was all much.
I know that's oversimplifying it, right? It's got to be, but it just seems so obvious.
It is, but it's not. Another good point.
Boom. Nailed it.
From
Jason Waffler Lewis.
From Thunder fans at God is Spanish. On the scale of 1 to 10, 10 being most excellent, how do you guys rate Billy Donovan for this season?
That's a good question.
Go ahead, Bobby.
Oh, I give him a solid
3.
3. No, I'm right there with you. Solid 3 or 4.
I was at 3 or 4 too.
Sure.
And it's so
4.
hard. It's so hard to say, but it's got
He
to
Billy
hasn't, he hasn't
Donovan-
necessarily done an exceptional job. We could say that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Billy Donovan. Here's the thing.
I'm ready.
So you're telling me?
You tell us, Rob.
And you listen up, and you listen up good.
There was a point, especially early, his first year here, where it was like, man, he is willing to try something new. And then now you look at him, and it's
Boy,
like,
is
God dang it, quit trying new stuff.
It's like
So
all
you
this
want-
guy does is try something new.
You want Billy Donovan to have a little bit more Scott Brooks in him.
I wouldn't say that.
That's what you're saying,
That's
Rob.
what you're saying.
No,
what
it
it
seems
sounds
like
like
there
you're
could be
saying.
a scale where
No.
it wouldn't have to be one or the other. But
If
You're
you
either
mix-
Scotty Brooks or you're Billy.
If you mix Billy Donovan with Scott Brooks,
We would win every championship that has ever existed ever.
Well,
And-
I was just gonna ask if that would be a better coach than Billy Donovan.
Clearly.
oh yeah, and you get Billy Brooks, which would be
That's
pretty
a
cool.
way better name.
Yeah.
Scott Donovan's pretty cool too.
Mostly Billy.
Scotty,
Anyway.
no, it would have to be Scotty Donovan. Let's be
Oh,
honest.
That's
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
better.
Scotty D.
I would totally drink beers with a guy named Scotty Donovan.
Sounds like he rides his bike to work.
I'm sticking with Billy Brooks, though.
Yeah, definitely Billy Brooks.
From
Billy Brooks sounds like a workout.
Yeah, he knows
teacher.
karate for
No, like he
sure.
puts out VHSs of like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Billy Blanks.
It's Billy
but-
Blanks, yeah, Billy Brooks.
Maybe that's
that is why that came.
From Ben Burke at Ben Burke 10. Break down the changes in the rotations. Also, best barbecue in Oklahoma City.
We did break down the changes and rotations a little
We
bit.
did.
So what's the best barbecue
Rewind.
in Oklahoma City?
I don't know.
Bad one barbecue, probably.
Never been. I like Earl's. I really like Earl's.
Earl's is
I had
good.
Swatley's once.
Earl's
is good.
Earl's can be
McMahon-
hit and miss
That's
though.
a chain.
I don't know if it's any
That's
good.
a chain.
I don't eat much barbecue.
Get the hell out of here with
Why
chains.
don't you eat much barbecue?
Look.
I don't
back,
like going in the place and then smelling like barbecue.
Back
for-
door's good.
What is
Bad one
wrong with
barbecue's
you?
good.
talking about?
Get out of here.
There's
You
also
have to leave.
There's also a place on 66 that's called the Butchers. It's just this like cargo tanner. Like they've just got this trailer thing. They serve barbecue out of it. They won a bunch of championships.
See, that
They're
sounds
good.
nice. You
What
don't
are
have
the
to go in
There's
the
really
place.
not a staple barbecue place here, is there?
No, which is weird because we kind of adopted that Central Texas where it's like you use pecan or oak, you smoke it, it's always dry rub, never use sauce on the actual meat
Oh,
itself.
we're back to this.
Sounds like you need to open a barbecue place.
I can't smoke meats that well. That's the problem.
Sounds like
I don't
you
have.
You can't smoke his meats. You're out of the barbecue
I
game.
don't have the recipe down. Like I need to work with a smoker. I'm
Hey,
sure I could.
where's Bedlam Brothers?
Bedlam is at 50th and Lincoln.
I'm gonna try that out.
Just Bedlam barbecue.
I almost had
It's
that
great.
the other day,
Don't they have a
but there
couple?
was a line out the door.
That's the
So I
only
was
one
like,
I know.
nah.
of.
Sounds like it's a good place then.
Yeah.
Also, Leon's is really good.
Never heard of it.
Next.
From T at Drinking Tea. A year later, and people are still trying to tear down Russ's MVP. To tell someone why he got it outside of the triple double, what would be your argument?
Well, I mean, the triple double was definitely a big part of him
Mm-hmm.
winning it, but I think what really put him over the edge and got him it over James Harden was how clutch he was last season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many game-winning shots did he have? How many fourth quarters did he take
Right.
over?
And I would say he actually won the award for what the award is supposed to be for, being the most valuable player on your team.
If you take
And
the
he
award
was
literally,
absolutely the most valuable player on any team.
no doubt about it.
in the
Then
league.
the on-off numbers were
Yeah.
insane.
Staggering.
And he broke the all-time record for like,
Almost everything.
yeah, a bunch of crazy stats. I know.
A lot of them stat deals, he broke them.
So Harden's effort takes them from like a 49 win team to a 55 win team, whereas Russell Westbrook takes a 47 win team, probably a 41 win team to a 47
even
win team.
know.
It's like a
41
20,
seems
24
generous.
win.
Without Russ, I don't know if
41
that team
seems-
wins 20 games last year.
Yeah, that's a
don't
good
think
point.
so.
Like it's
I don't
what,
see how they would win anything.
what Russ was able to do. Yeah, no, you guys
They're
are
like
right.
the
41
Kings.
is generous. They win 25 games without Russ.
Yeah.
And that's a good effort.
That's
it.
Kyle
most
trying hard.
Valuable. That is by far most valuable.
Indeed.
From OKZ at ZDZY Bach, it's time we revisit the Billy Donovan question. If you're Sam Presti, does he stay or go this summer, and why?
Go back to the Paul George thing.
He
What
stays.
was the question again?
Does Billy Donovan stay or go, and why?
Billy Donovan, I don't think is. I don't know. I struggle. We've talked about this before, and I asked the question: do they have to get out of the first round? What if they don't get out of the first round? What happens to Billy?
He go.
And I think you guys said that he doesn't survive. I still think if they bring back Paul George, I think Billy Donovan comes. I think they bring Billy Donovan back.
You think if Paul George is gone,
If Paul George stays, Billy stays.
really?
Oh.
If Paul George is gone and they're sort of starting somewhere new, I think at that point you have a reason to bring in a new coach.
I think it might be the opposite. For whatever reason, I do. But like I said earlier, I do wonder if there's a certain amount of slack given to Billy Donovan for what he's
Had to
been
Gone through.
thrown in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, Sam Presti doesn't seem like the type of guy that's going to sign him to a 5-year contract and 3 years in be like,
Yeah.
sorry.
And also, the owners are going to be like, bro, we still got to pay that guy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we're poor.
You don't want to just be paying a bunch of dead money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, are you paying debt money right now?
Well, Ronnie Price this year. Ronnie Price.
No, I was talking about Billy not being a good coach.
Oh!
You didn't get it. It's fine.
Well,
It's fine.
Ronnie Price, though.
Yeah.
But still that guy.
From Jiden Galvin at Jiden Galvin, you think we can re-sign Grant this offseason?
I hope so.
Oh man.
This is a back and forth.
Yeah.
I say PG stays, he gone. PG leaves, he stays.
Probably.
Bingo.
What is happening to
Oh,
you?
Man, my throat just...
Are you allergic to honey ales?
I got this last one, bro. G at G-E-Z. If Andre didn't get hurt, what record there were so many Y's in it, guys. If Andre didn't get hurt, what record do you think we would have right now?
As we were talking today about the
72.
games, I was wondering how freaking incredible it would be
I
to
feel like
have
we'd be way
Sway
better.
still.
I wonder how much better it would be. Not that he doesn't make that big of an impact, but I think this team has had so many problems that I just...
Maybe
I don't
put
know.
us maybe
Would
put us at like
make
53,
that
55
less.
wins.
I do not think it'd be that many.
That is a lot of
yeah.
wins.
Yeah. No, I say
I have
maybe
a lot
2
of
more
faith in
wins.
him.
I say 2 more wins.
So,
And then do we get Corey Brewer if he had not been hurt?
That's
Probably.
a good question.
That is
Maybe
a
they
good
go
question.
somewhere else.
Tyreek.
So the Rockets won 60. They've won 62 games. So,
So
somewhere around
63?
65.
Yeah, 65. That's what I was saying.
Somewhere around there. Let's get some notes.
Let's do it.
Sorry to bust through these.
Man,
We've
that
dragged
was
on today,
loud.
guys.
That felt
That
good.
was good.
The Oklahoma City Blue were eliminated in the first round of the G League playoffs by the South Bay Lakers.
Did you guys go to the game?
Do you think that's going to make Paul George leave? He's going to be like, look, the Lakers.
Yeah.
No, I didn't go to the game. You kidding me?
I was at everyone.
Carmelo Anthony was named a finalist for the PBWA Citizenship Award.
What now?
It was one.
Given to a player who demonstrates outstanding service and dedication to the community. Good job, Carmelo. Man, it goes back. Carmelo's an awesome dude that we love off the court.
And on if he makes a shot sometimes.
He
All of
seems like a good mentor at this point.
You think he wants to mentor me?
Maurice
I don't think
Maurice
he wants to
Cheeks
do
was
anything
inducted
with you.
into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. He joined Steve Nash, Grant Hill, and Jason Kidd as a part of the class of 2018. Congrats, Mo Cheeks.
You know what's really messed up about the Naismith Hall of Fame is that they need to do an NBA and a college basketball. That needs to be separate.
It's not separate?
Not saying that Mo Cheeks doesn't deserve to be in it, but they need to be separate.
But he might not.
No, he does.
He might not.
Well, based on the numbers, maybe not.
He might not. Like, his numbers aren't that great.
They're
He's
not.
a good
They're
guy,
not.
though.
I mean, look at those other guys. He's
He
going
won
in with
championships.
Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, Grant Hill.
I've never heard of any of those guys. I know who Mo Cheeks is, though.
Kevin Durant says the Thunder, not the Celtics or the Clippers, were the second choice to the Warriors in 2006 free agency.
What?
Thanks for that, Kevin. Russell Westbrook is now just 4 triple-doubles shy of tying the aforementioned Jason Kidd for the third most all-time. And with his 5th straight game with a triple-double against the Pelicans, Russell Westbrook joined Oscar Robertson as the only players in NBA history to have 5 straight triple-doubles against the same opponent.
He is good at those.
It's every week with this guy.
How many sentences over the last 2 years have started off with Russell Westbrook joins Oscar Robertson as the only player, etc.
So many.
4 games left in this regular season. You do the math.
Yeah. Huh, good call.
Yep.
Steve Kerr says he's unsure if Andre Iguodala will be available for the game versus Oklahoma City tomorrow night or today if you're listening tomorrow.
That helps.
That does help. He hasn't had a great season though. Iggy.
Still worries.
Yeah,
me, though,
you're right.
you know.
He could be saving himself like Melo is.
That's
Oh God.
that's what it is.
And last but not least, Paul George is one of 5 players nominated for the PBWA's Magic Johnson Award, which recognizes the player who best combines excellence on the court with excellence with the media. The other 4 finalists are DeMar DeRozan, Kevin Durant, Manu Ginobili, and Al Horford. So good job, Paul George.
Woo. Hey, I got one more. Charles Barkley called Kevin Durant a pain in the butt.
Did he use the word butt?
He actually did use pain in the butt. Yeah,
Oh. In the butt.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's Charles. He knows to watch his words,
Old
his
Chuck.
TV and stuff.
Yeah, he's good at
But yeah,
that.
pain in the butt.
He just never spoke to me so.
Something.
Word.
Adjective.
Next.
Thunder grammar.
The Thunder have tomorrow night or today if you're listening tomorrow. The Warriors at home. The Thunder are 2-1 against the Warriors. The Warriors will be out without Steph Curry, but Klay Thompson is back. And then 3 days off. Then you got to travel to Houston, a team that the Thunder have split in 2 meetings this season. So only 2 games this week, guys. Nice rest because you're playing the best 2 teams in the entire league.
Who lost points last week?
We're not even keeping points anymore because...
Yeah, we got to keep points to the end.
Yeah, that's how we figured
They
it out.
lost
We
2.
all had losses.
Well, we all lost points,
but we're
and
not
Justin
done yet.
lost. Okay, that's fine, but
That's why I threw out the 3-0 because we were done.
Oh,
Wait,
It's
the
fine.
season's not even over.
We
Guys.
agreed that it would be like March 18th when
Guys.
we were done.
we're going to fight now.
guys, stop it.
This is ridiculous.
2 games.
Flip this table.
2 games. What do you guys got?
That's bolted in there.
2-0.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
You
0-2.
might actually hit 0.
He's definitely going to hit 0. 0-2.
Oh man.
1-1.
What's the one? And the other one.
He could have
Yeah,
just said one.
exactly.
He
One
could've-
of
Warriors, we win.
One of them is
Oh.
the Warriors. One of them is the Rockets. Clearly.
I go 1-1 with Jason. I think the Warriors. I think the
Wow.
Thunder might get a win here.
I hope so.
Now I
think
think we're
they
going
might.
to lose.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Twitter at OKC Thunderheads and Justin's over at Thunder Tie. Subscribe on YouTube where you can watch all of our pods live or on demand. Also find us on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, anywhere else that podcasts are. You can check out OKCThunderheads.com for all your Thunder needs this week's schedule. We have a pod scheduled for Wednesday. It's up in the air. Depending on what happens tomorrow night, we'll see what happens. We'll try to get you. At the very least, we will do an aftershock for you. And then we have another pod on Sunday. So until then, and as always, Thunder up. Mara